So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm actually going to film this while I'm discovering the process or going through the process of what I'm going to show you. Today we're going to look at using a plugin called Facebuilder to, well, build a digital face or model to import directly into CC Creator's Headshot 2 plugin. There's a new add-on, or I should say update to that add-on, that allows you to port the faces you create directly into CC Creator, or headshots in this case, headshots 2. We're going to use AI to generate the heads because Facebuilder seems to work best with 7 heads, and if you don't have a model to stand in for you, or even if you search everywhere on the internet, you're going to not find 7 different angles of the same person. So we'll use AI to kind of generate that. But before I get all into that, my videos have been almost about a month apart, and I explained this before because I have a newborn son in the house, I have full-time work and life in general. The other thing is just focus. Although I like playing around with AI and I'm using it and putting it more creatively into my work, a lot of my work is centered around virtual production, Unreal Engine, Blender, and some other programs. And I feel that AI, although it's becoming a bigger part, it's not always the focus of the work I'm doing. And I think if I shift the content that I'm producing here, where I'm focusing more on virtual production, in-camera visual effects, which I do like the hardware I'm using, that I will produce more content. So I know some people may have subscribed to me because of either character creator or AI, but I'm going to kind of shift that more towards virtual production, which again, I do use AI for that as well, generating either backgrounds or ideas for some of the virtual sets that I create inside of Unreal or Blender. But that shift would help me to definitely create more content. So you're going to see that in the next couple of videos where I shift towards that type of content going forward. Now that I got that out the way, let's kind of get started. So you're going to watch me go through this process. I will speed up the parts where it's kind of processing and ticking, and then this will be a general overview. I'm not going to show everything step by step. I'll show some things, but you can interchange some of these programs out. But in general, you're going to need Blender, the add-on Facebuilder, Character Creator 4, its add-on Headshots 2, and you will need some type of AI solution where you can pass it control images, whether that be Stable Diffusion. I'm going to be using ComfyUI in this example. You can use Invoke AI or many of the others where, again, you're allowed to pass reference images to that AI to use to generate your content. So right now we're looking at Blender, and I'm going to show you how I got started. Don't have to do it this way, and you don't have to use Blender. You can use Maya, Cinema 4D, whatever your flavor is, okay? So the first thing I did is that, well, let me back myself up. You need Blender because you have to use the Facebuilder tool is only in 2 places. It's in Nuke and Blender. So you probably should use Blender. But let's go. The first thing I got was I needed to get a set of heads of varying shapes and sizes, and I didn't want to go through and sculpt any of them, or I didn't want to use one head because if you're building a variety of characters, everybody has different head shapes. I think there's 4 types of head shapes. If you look for glasses or anything else like that, you'll see that there's 4 different types of head shapes. So I wanted to find something somebody had already created that was like base heads that I can use for my purposes. One of the things I found was on ArtStation, I'm not gonna mess your name up, man, but he's created a bunch of basic head models. He's got bundles here. I think I purchased one of the bundles. He's got head, and then there's head and head collective, and then there's this one, which I believe I got. You can get just one of these. They're a couple of bucks, pretty cheap, but yeah, it's $5. And it gives you a variety of head shapes from female, different ethnicities, different sizes. This is great. So once I got that, I loaded it up in Blender, created a new file, and I went ahead and I appended the collection. I'll just run through this really quick. Now, from what I believe, he generated this either through DAZ or Character Creator or something, because the pivot points are all over the place, which means they had bodies at some point and they just chopped them off. So what you can do is you can go grab all of these. I'll show option. You're going to go geometry to origin. Sorry, not geometry to origin. You're going to go origin to geometry. Let's bring that back up. make sure they're all selected and set, and then origin to the geometry, which will put them in the middle of the head itself. And then you can hit Shift S, and then you're going to go to, where is it at? It's not cursor, selection of cursor, which is in the middle. Make sure that the middle, if you don't know anything about Blender here, let me hide this, that is actually at the world origin. You can do that, Shift X, and then you can go cursor to world origin there. And then after you do that, we can just hide all of the heads we don't need. So if you go up to the outliner, hit Shift Select, you can hide that. You're also going to do Shift Select on the render view because you don't want them to show up in the render. Make sure you turn the collection back on, and then you can go ahead and choose a single head, right? And they're all facing the right way. So I'm gonna actually close this file because this is not the one I used. And let's not save this. So then I went ahead and did a full file setup. Now with Facebuilder, the plugin that's in Blender, what you need to do is, according to the documentation, let me grab that. Here's Facebuilder. So let's jump over. So Facebuilder is the tool we're going to use, and I'll show you that a little bit down the line, but it's by Keentool, and they have a geo tracker, which is a 3D object tracker, but they also have this not that one, this one here, Facebuilder for Blender. And that's what we'll be using. And if we go and we look at this, you want 7 different images according to the author, and you can see here that he has a visual representation of that. Where there's the front, you have sides, you have the chin view here, you have the top left, top right, and then let's call that the forehead view. So we want to kind of create that with our model. So the easiest way to do that is, you can see here that I've created kind of this enclosure just to give them a background on all sides. And then I have a bunch of different cameras here. Now, if you don't know Blender, I'm not actually going to go over all of that, how to create cameras or anything else like that. It's not a modeling tutorial. There's tons out there, you can look them up. But what I did was, the first thing I did was, let's turn off the cameras for a minute. And I created, I need to turn that on, a front camera. And I changed, because we're going to be going into Stable Diffusion, I changed this to 1080 by 1080 because that's what it accepts. And then I also turned on the Eevee render. We don't need this to be high quality, so you do not need to use cycles. And I just bumped up all of the settings, or a lot of the settings for Eevee. And then, sorry, I keep doing that. I also took the camera, I made it a 50mm camera. Usually you want either 50 or 85, depending on the model. You can change it as you need be. I made this one 50, and then I went ahead and I constrained it to a node in the middle here. So if let's just move this head out the way. Oh, nope. Here we go. Here's the node. You can't see it. I constrained the camera to look at this node. So if I move it, you'll see that the camera still points at that node. So if I go into the camera and I move that, you can see get a little crazy there. So it's constraint, and that could be found in, we select the camera, if you hit constraint, if there wasn't one here, it'll bring it up. You want to select the track 2. So if you go down, it'll be here, track 2, and then you just select that null, and that null is at the origin, right? So quickly after that, it was easy to create the other cameras. All I did is I did it, instead of moving it in a kind of random fashion, all of these are either this one is 20 degrees down. Wow, that keeps getting in the way. Let's just hide that. It's 20 degrees down. And the way you can do that, if I let's grab the front camera, say here, select that. You can hit Shift D to duplicate it. Once you have it, you can hit right click and it will put it back in place. Then to move in Blender, you hit G, and in this case, I want to go down, right? So I'm going to hit Z to lock it to the Z axis, and then I can hit 20. I didn't want to move it, I'm sorry. I actually want to rotate it around. So in this case, what we're going to do is go up here, we're going to change where the rotation center point is, or the pivot point is, and I'm going to say 3D cursor. Then I'm going to hit R to rotate, because now you can see it rotates around here. Hit X to lock it, and then just hit 20. And then you can do this with all of these cameras, whether it be if you need to go left and right, you'll do the same thing, but you'll go around the Z-axis. If you need to go to the top right and up, can do that too. You can lock it to 2 axes by hitting shift and then whatever axis you want to eliminate. So if you want to eliminate the Z axis, you hit shift and Z, and then now you can rotate on the X and the Y. Again, there's tons of Blender tutorials out there on how to work with cameras and basics like that. But once you have that, you should have an array like this. So I have an array of all of the cameras. Let's turn this off for a minute. So we have the chin, we have the forehead, we have the front, side, there's the other side, the top left and the top right. Now, since we're generating these images and the head itself is symmetrical, if you decided you wanted to go in there and you didn't want to make it so symmetrical, so you can take sculpting tools and do, go around and change the ear or whatever it may be, you can do that. I hope I didn't just move the camera. But after that, what you need to do is render out each image and save them so that we can take them into ComfyUI to generate consistent heads from each view. All right, so I'm going to close Blender for right now. We won't save that. And then let's fire up Comfy. All right, so now that we're in Comfy, I'll just run over this really quick. You can watch my other videos on how this is set up. Like I said, you can use Stable Diffusion as long as you can input the heads, all right? So here I have my control images, right? So I have all of them. I've already rendered all of them out, so you can see here, forehead, chin, front, left, right, top left, right. All right, so we'll start with the front. And what I'm doing is, these are preview images. I'm passing it into open pose, which will give me the eyes and the nose and the lips and the mouth. And then after that, I'm passing it into the depth map. These show how much strength is applied to each. So for the depth map, I'm doing from 0 to 50% at 100%. And then for the open pose, I'm only doing 25 or 0.25%. Just so that it knows where the eyes and the mouth are. I'm going to use, or I've been using SDXL models. You can use 1.5 models. Some people like those more because they feel more fleshed out. I've stuck to the SDXL models, but it's up to you. And if you watch my previous videos, it'll kind of run through all of this, and I'll talk about this. There's a description, detail skin, short hair, black shirt, color, facing. Now the style that I'm using down here tends to turn some of the images black and white, so I want to force color. Facing forward is kind of ignored, but just in case, and I'll show you why. It's because of the shoulders. Detail skin, and you can put, because this is actually generating text in front of here. If you watch the style prompt, I've showed this before. It's injecting words into beginning and the end of this prompt. So I have a certain style, and there's a bunch of styles. We're going to use photography. And in XDL, there's 2 types of prompts. Nobody's sure what they're supposed to be used for, but we'll just use the top one, which is G. And then we have negative prompts down here. No hands, no smile, no earrings. Okay. Sometimes these are ignored. Sometimes it depends on the model. If the model knows what the smile is, what a smile is, what the hands are, what the earrings are, but we'll add that. We're going to use a fixed seed. This is important. You can generate random images until you find the one that you want. And then after, you want to fix it. Once you start on the front face, once you got it and you like the results, then fix that seed. And let's do that. Let's do a random, and then generate the rest of the profiles, other shots. Okay. This is based on our model here. So for epic realism, I think it's at 7.5. So any model you pick up, you're going to have to look at the example images to find the CFG. I've explained this in my other videos, and the steps. Here we'll try the 7.5, and everything else should be good. And let's generate one. All right, so we got here. This came out good. Let's generate another one. This one should go faster only because the last one was actually loading the model. Every time you load a model, at least in Comfy, it will take some time to load before it actually renders. But since we have on randomize, let's just try another number. We can scroll through here and let's click generate again and see what we get. So not too different. That's because of the model. Since this is a demonstration, we're going to stick with this one, and I'm going to go ahead and fix this to this seed number so that this doesn't change, or it doesn't change much. Now, what we want to do, because inside Facebuilder, we're going to use some of the image for textures, we're going to upscale this. So I'm going to, this purple means that it's bypassed. So I'm hit Control B, and we're using Ultimate SD Upscale. Now in Stable Diffusion, this is extension you can install inside Comfy as a custom node, so you can find it in the manager. We want to make a few changes to the settings. I usually just stick with the same numbers. So we're going to upscale it by 2. We're going to fix this 30. We'll put this as 7.5 as well. Same sampler. We're going to change the scheduler to be the same. Now, the one thing you want to change here, because I want the image to stay the same, I just wanted to upscale it, is that you're going to make this 0.1 instead of the default that it's at, which is 0.56. Everything else you should leave alone. What this is saying is that it's going to go in a linear tile. It's going to basically render 512 tiles. So that's what this 512 is. And it's going to go in a linear fashion. So start up here and go left to right until it finishes. These, because it's adding seams to each one and attaching them, you can change how the seams are blurred together, how much feather there is between them so that they're not seen. In this case, it doesn't matter, but you know you have those options. So we'll generate this and it'll upscale it up. We need to plug a model into here. So let's just grab our model. All right, now that that's done, we can go ahead and we'll open this image. You'll see that it's quite large, so we're good here. Been upscaled. Let's save that image. And then now we're gonna generate the rest of the views. Now we're not gonna upscale the rest of them, only because we're only gonna use the front as our texture builder. So we'll go ahead and bypass this. Now, doing this, you're not going to get a perfect, consistent character every single time, just the way Stable Diffusion or any of these AI generations work. They're from noise, but it's going to be really close. We're passing it enough information to get close enough to its target. So we'll run through, we'll do the chin and the rest of the views. Now, I'm going to show you some of these to show you how close you can get. We'll go ahead and save that. But I won't go through all of them. So forehead. Now you're gonna have some oddities where you'll have like a longer neck. Some other, I'll show you on this side where definitely the clothes will change because we're not passing anything to control that. Background might change as well. We're not so much concerned about that as we are as getting a pretty consistent, or close as we can, consistent image. Some of the things you might run into is like let's go to the left side here, generate this. You're gonna see that it still generates a perspective view. So even though if you look at the head, you can't see that other eye, the model tends to want to generate, even though in the preview you see here, it didn't have, you might have seen it change. I don't know if you caught that. This one is actually a lot better than the other ones. Some of them might have it where the eye is still peeking forward a lot, but you might get those oddities. So let me go through, hurry up and generate all the rest of these, and then we'll jump into Facebuilder to show you how to use them. So we are in Blender. Your Blender is going to look drastically different from mine's, depending on if you use Blender or not. Normally you have a default cube here. We're gonna get rid of this. Normally there is a light, a cube, and there's a running joke that everybody gets rid of the default cube. We're gonna get rid of my default here. Everything should be the same of where you find the plugin and how you use the plugin. If you hit F4, which is the fastest way I think to get to the preference, you just wanna make sure inside the add-ins, if you search for Facebuilder, make sure that you follow the instructions that it's installed. I'm on 23.2.4 as of this video, then you're gonna need to make sure that you're licensed, or you could be under the 30-day trial. So you can always trial this. What we're gonna do is it's gonna be in the side panel here. So inside the side panel, I have a couple of things here. If you are just getting started with Blender, you're not gonna have too many things here. I'm gonna go up here and you'll have the Facebuilder tab. Once you're on that, we're gonna create a new head. So this is going to drop in a new head, as you can see. And the first thing we're going to go through, there'll be cameras, views, models, appearance, all of this good stuff. You can look at their documentation to see the details of all of this, but I'm just going to go through, again, we're doing this in real time. So I'm just going to show you the basics of this. So we're going to go to add images and we'll go to that folder I have. We're just going to select all of these that we generated previously from Stable Diffusion. Now, the way this works is it's created a camera for each of these. And then it allows for facial expressions. So if you're a person, again, if you have images of a person that's from different angles and they're smiling, not smiling, they allow facial expressions. We are not going to mess with that today. So our model might come out a little bit weird, but again, demonstration purposes only. I'm going to click on this eye to get started. This should be the front view. And we're going to add points to this head and it will change it in real time. We're just going to look at this view. You should start here with the auto align face. You can change the exposure of the image. It is very slow, but you can change that and you can change the gamma correction so you can better see the image and where the points lie. But let's go ahead and hit auto align face and you see it does a pretty good job. It finds the eyes, everything like that. Maybe you need to adjust the ears. Do not go crazy with the points. Try to move these around first to get what you need and you can see how it works really well. We'll just move the ear down. Again, I'm not gonna go crazy on this. And what you can do is I need to add one for the ear here. You can left click on the ear and then drag it in. If you need to remove that, you can right click. So if I drag one here, I don't want it, right click. Let's add one here, just pull the ear out. And I try to keep them symmetrical. I don't believe there's a mirror option, but this is looking pretty good. Our hair is obscured there. And this is how you would basically align everything per model. So once you're done, you just jump to the second image. Let's put one of these here, maybe right there to align the neck, and then right here. Pretty good. And we'll kind of line up the same, kind of mirror it here, bring it in there. That's good. So I'm going to move to the next image. Actually, let me do here. I'm getting a little ADD about this. Now, this is not great. Again, you want to spend a little more time on, perfecting your model and how you want it to look, but this is good for now. So once you're done, you see that pen option, you're just going to jump down to the next one and you'll see that it will go to the different view. And then you're just going to go through and do this for all the images. I'm going to go through and I'm going to do this and then we'll check out the model after. Okay, so I've done this again. I did this really fast. This is something you should do. Take your time, go through, match images. You also see that, moving some points moves others. So you might want to just use one side versus the other, maybe right or left. You only align it to one, but that's up to you. Again, it's something you should definitely take your time with and not rush it, depending on how accurate you want to model. But once you finish up, everything is good. You're going to exit pen mode. You will see we'll have this model. Whoops, let me select it and again, not perfect because I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but it looks pretty good for what we were doing. So let's go ahead and texture it. So you're gonna go down here to texture. I'm gonna just do this at 4K. Whoops. If you didn't know, Blender can do math inside of the input. There's a lot of options. You can go down here. Autofill, if you only have one image, will fill in spaces behind, under the chin, things like that. Equalize brightness, colors, self-explanatory. We're not gonna mess with any of this. You can do that on your own time. You hit create, and I do not know which one is the front image. So we need to know which one's the front image. That's number 3. We only wanna use that one. Let's hit none, hit that, and then hit OK. And it'll go through its process and create this for you. All right, so again, we have a lot of holes here and all of that, but that's fine. We're gonna leave this for this demonstration. Again, you probably want for your front, normally what I would do is upres this in Topaz, something like that, to 8K, and then just have that one image there so we can create this texture. But 4K is fine. The next step we're going to move on to is CC4 headshots, exporting this out. All right, so we're going to wrap up here, and in the next video, I'm going to show you how to take the mesh that was built in Facebuilder and have that exported to use inside of CC Creator's headshot plugin. So stay tuned for that next video, and you already know how YouTube works. Go ahead and hit that button, click that bell, and I'll see you in the next one.